Welcome to another episode of Ageless Philosophy by Blucher. This is episode 5, titled Best Foot Forward. What we're covering today is, I put some terms together, which we'll go over the definition, extra mile, wisdom, sober, no excuses, negative cognitive. And then we're going to talk about establish some talking points on the definition. Kind of give out some examples and some of my life experience on how to tackle those examples. Then we leave it off with the vision, the extra mile. I have a clip on somebody discussing the extra mile and a video clip on Usain Bolt training. Definition of extra mile: a willingness to exceed basic responsibilities and deliver beyond expectations. Definition of wisdom: there's 3 definitions here. Be able to choose one that, kind of currently exists in your situation. So definition of wisdom, we have the quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment, the quality of being wise. The soundness of an action or decision with regard to application of experience, knowledge, and good judgment. The body of knowledge and principles that develops within a specific society or period. Definition of sober: not having an alcohol drink or taking drugs for a period of time. Definition of no excuses: something is not a valid or acceptable reason for an action or behavior. I read that again. Definition of no excuses: something is not a valid or acceptable reason for an action or behavior. Definition of negative cognitive: a thought pattern that is negatively biased and exaggerated, which can lead to an inaccurate perception of reality. I read that first definition again. A thought pattern that is negatively biased and exaggerated, which can lead to an inaccurate perception of reality. Negative cognitive styles are dysfunctional ways of thinking that can underlie depression, anxiety, anger, and lack of motivation and success. Understanding, establish talking points of the definition. So this area is where I kind of freestyle some of the words and terms I put together on Ageless Philosophy. Before I get started, I just want to let you guys know that Ageless Philosophy kind of started on, when your time is right to kind of apply the information I'm sharing. I think we live in a world that, there's different ages, timing. You can't tell a teenager about adult life because they're not adults yet. There's always some kind of excuse, which I put here, no excuses. There's always some kind of excuse of why not to receive just straight up experience, straight up definitions, or just talking points on when to apply something to your life. That's how I came up with Ageless Philosophy. When you're ready to apply the information. All right. So we got here extra mile, wisdom, sober, no excuses, negative cognitive. Okay. When it comes to extra mile and wisdom, I think, this presentation is like an extra mile situation. No one didn't really tell me to put this together. I had to kind of pray about it and just be able to journal what is the next project, that I could be able to work on and kind of be in my purpose. So I think this is a really great example of extra mile, right? Due to the fact that everybody's situation is different, I'm going to take the extra mile regards to running or going for a jog. There was an experience of my time where I used to just average about a good mile and a half. I was jogging. I did my exercises. The YouTube videos are there, right? Where I didn't show myself running, but I did show the exercises, right? And from that mile and a half, I pushed myself to go 3 miles, right? And I could tell you guys, from that 3 mile experience, anything less than 3 miles certain things felt fast, meaning that because I ran or I jog and walk 3 miles. When I went to my job consists of a lot of walking at that time, the job that I was at, right? For some reason, I was hitting points of, okay, I'm gonna be on the 3rd floor at this time. Whatever, I was getting there faster than I ever thought. I was like, certain parts of the building just felt like it was like literally around the corner, right? So it made myself dawn like, wow, like really going the extra mile. What benefit and value does that bring when it comes to anything less than, right? And last example, if I'm doing 100 push-ups, somebody that might be struggling with 20 push-ups is like, man, I know I could knock out 20 like real quick, but it's not to discredit the person that's doing 20 push-ups or they having a hard time doing 20 push-ups. It's just to kind of create a value of a benchmark, like, okay, something to be thankful for, knowing that by going the extra mile, probably could be able to be patient and help that person go an extra push-up than the normal of 20 push-ups, just using exercise as an example. So be able to go the extra mile, so you never, when you prepare, when certain things come about that you didn't thought it would come around, but by going the extra mile, when that tough matter comes around, you could be able to handle the matter. All right, it's very vague because everybody's situation is different, and so yeah. So on to the next thing is wisdom. Wisdom, I think, comes with experience. It comes with years, and it comes with anyone that's potentially I won't put age on it. So I mean, somebody that's younger than me may have more wisdom in a certain area that I didn't know exists, right? But for those that live, beyond my years, I should say, like my grandma, rest in peace, my grandma, or my mother, or my father, there's some kind of wisdom of perspective on how to get through life, right? So when it comes to this wisdom area, I'm gonna leave it very broad. Just trying to remind my audience and listeners to not take it for granted, right? When it comes to wisdom, right? So we're gonna move on to the next thing. And going back to wisdom, I really don't have like a really solid example right now because I think there's thousands of examples out there when it comes to wisdom. I don't know why Karate Kid is coming to mind. That was a young, when I was a young kid, that was a movie that came out, and it really had a good chemistry there of learning how to combat certain fights, right? Of wise practicing in the small realm of things of now could definitely be ready when on a championship level or the level of a game or whatever the case may be. I feel like I'm getting a little off topic, but I know what I'm trying to say here, okay? So if you resonate, say, Alex, I resonate with what you're saying. I get it. Wisdom is important. Moving on. Here we have next is sober. Now, when it comes to sober, genuinely ask yourself, what is your life being sober? What is your life can consist of in value when there's no kind of distraction of drug, substance, no judgment if you are using drug, substance, or drinking, right? Now, occasionally there's times to have a good time, drink, go to a bar, stuff like that. But when it comes to your life, is your life more alcohol driven, more drug substance driven? Does it become an addiction? Don't know, right? But here, when it comes to sober, is my name and what is my sober life looks like, so I can be able to make accurate, precise decisions, right? I use an example here on a picture of a space shuttle. I will hope that the people on the team were sober enough, or sober, right, to be able to put the right calculations to put a space shuttle into space, right? So this term, this word sober, are we taking it for granted when it comes to our life choices, right? Do we blame it on alcohol? Jamie Foxx, right? Do we blame it on alcohol? If there was no trigger here to anybody that experienced a DUI or, are a victim of a DUI situation, but, is the alcohol an excuse if you're driving under the influence, right? So I guess be able to marinate around that a little bit more, as far as the examples and what I'm trying to be able to identify here to you guys when it comes to sober. Just something I am taking notice in today's world. Now, up here next we have no excuses, negative cognitive, right? No excuses was not physically, but mentally smack across my head, mentally, in high school football, right? I was a cornerback. It's on the defensive side of things at Chaminade. Went to Chaminade back in my time. So there was a time where the coach can be able to identify with a player and kind of like point out the flaw, like what's going on with this player in football. And I know for myself, there was a time where I gave an excuse. Coach, this player is fast. This person is faster than me. This person is stronger than me. And you can already know the coach has his time. The coach has this time where it says no excuse. Hey, there's no excuse. Get it done. Get the job done on the field, right? And trust me when I tell you, when I do come across adversity on the field, there's really no excuse. I will have to find a way to be faster than this person, even though I already know this person is fast. I have to find a way to be stronger than this person, even though I know this person is strong. And, I think I developed my character of no excuses during that time of high school. College was another level, and the real world is on a whole nother level when it comes to no excuses. Because to be able to find that excuse, look, what was done is already done. How can I be able to become a better person out of this situation, right? So I had to really take my time to kind of express that no excuse area right there, because a lot could be said, a lot of examples, but it's very straightforward, no excuse. All right. Negative cognitive. We all have negative thoughts. Skin color could be, for me, I think a big negative thought for me. Skin color, or the way I grew up, right? Which falls underneath no excuses, and also a negative thought. If my dad was in my life, no triggers here, just reality. If my dad was in my life a little bit more, if my mother would have done this, right? Falls under excuses, but those negative thoughts, right? You have to be able to fight through that. Fight through those thoughts. How can we make it positive? How can I make this moment right here positive? Okay. One example here, real estate agent, trying to get my real estate career going the best way I can. The amount of rejections I experienced became information to use for tomorrow. What can I be able to do different? Right? So I'm at a point now, however this video is being watched or the time that's being watched, my voice was a negative cognitive. People will not like my voice, the way I talk. So you'll be able to relate in this moment on what's important. Holding true value to those negative thoughts. Those thoughts are temporary in my mind. Holding true to those excuses. Excuses can be, valid. And some excuses can be like, hey, this may not be the time and place to have an excuse. We need this to get done. No excuses. It has to get done. So I'm listening to myself speak in the area of extra mile, wisdom, sober, no excuses, negative cognitive is a moment of like a pause and think this through. All these terms are the chemistry or the chemical balance needed to take things to the next level for your life on what's important. Going extra mile. Wisdom. What information I needed to know now from the younger folks. I think there shouldn't be no age on it. Younger folks to the grown folks. What are the wisdom, the information that's out there so I can make the best decision? Sober. I use DUI as an example. Drinking and trying to make thoughtful decisions. It should not be an excuse at all. Your mind should be very clear on what's next. And I already covered no excuses and negative cognitive for a little bit longer than I thought, right? And I'm listening to the way I'm speaking. It does deserve a little bit more thinking through, right? So moving on to the next slide, I have some examples here. Example of not trying. All right. On the left here, I have habits. I have 0% extra mile, 0% wisdom, 20% sober. And where's that 20% come from? I think I did a whole 18 years. So from infant to age 18, divided by 80 years. So the denominator is 80. Which that's kind of the average life expectancy, if I pronounce that correctly, here in the U.S. I threw 80 out there. We talking life. I talk life of 120 years, but that's a whole nother topic. I just want to throw that in there. Most folks may be living to live up to 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Everybody's different. So I put it for 80 years, all right? I'll say it again, from age up to age 18, I will hope your life is sober, right? And the life expectancy, I'm having trouble pronouncing that, is 80. So 20 age 20 divided by 80, I came up with 20%. You guys about to make me double check my work. Yeah, I hope so. I hope I'm right. All right. So I threw out 20% there. And then there's 0% on no excuses. And then we have negative cognitive 80%, right? Where I take it from 80% on that data is pretty much your whole life. Right? Your whole life is just negative cognitive, right? So this data here on the bottom, even though I'm freestyling, I'm talking right now, I hear myself talk. On the bottom middle, it says warning, not used for actual data. All right, it's just something I put together, all right? For my pro data analysis out there, hats off to you. This is just really amateur level right now. Really amateur. So get your laughs in, LOL if needed. All right. So this is an example of not trying. 20% of your life is going to be sober. That means you probably chose other things to live the rest of your life on, right? Drinking, drug substances and stuff like that. Just using that as an example. And then we have negative cognitive, where majority of your life you're just negative. You just can't get it right. You're negative. All right, moving on. Example of trying, right? I just put 20% across the board, right? On the bottom middle screen, warning, not used for actual data, right? So, what is life if you is 20% or just balance out with, all right, it's not 80% negative cognitive. It's just some things in life is going to have some negative thoughts. That's cool. 20% there. What is that extra mile? 20%, just taking a little extra, your best foot forward, right? What does that look like? Some wisdom. I don't know the true statistics on it, but I heard that after college, don't worry about I'm gonna mention high school. I was gonna skip over it, but nah. After high school, if you graduated high school, there's a saying out there. There's a saying out there that someone is not going to take time to buy a book to read. They already went through all the experience of school, high school. They're not going to take the time to educate more than high school. That's it, right? And for those that graduate from college, there's a statistic out there. I saw it on Valuetainment, where show of hands, you already graduated from a bachelor degree, undergrad. Show of hands, how many people, raise your hand if you bought more than 2 books after you graduated from college, or, like any type of book. I don't think fiction was added, but just some kind of business book, some kind of like self-development book. And the show of hands, no one barely raised their hand, because no one took the time to, after college, no one took the time to invest into themselves after. So that goes underneath wisdom, I think, right? The whole, like, have you taken the time in your lifespan on learning something more beyond yourself or your family or your community? Wisdom. All right, so we have sober, 20%. I'm going to just leave it as is. I will hope that there's a good amount of years that you just live in a sober life. You're making the best decisions, right? So that data underneath sober was just thrown in there. No excuses. Hopefully there's a time of your life that there's no excuses. Things need to get done, right? This just came to mind, if it makes sense. As far as no excuses, somebody pissed you off. So you felt that the right thing to do is to give them one closed fist, or a fist to the face, right? So, I guess the person pissing you off, you threw a punch. After the punch comes, battery, police is involved, stuff like that, right? Is there an excuse? There's no excuse. There's no excuses. So be able to be in a position where you're making the best decision for yourself, so you could get over that hump and move on to the next thing. Please excuse me if I'm explaining this the best way I can. If it's taking a little bit too long, I am hearing myself speak, and it's just a matter of just taking this time to kind of express the importance in this area of the example of not trying. 0% across the board. You're not trying. It is what it is. You're here to live. That's so be it. No judgment, right? And the example of trying, right? There's going to be some things that you may have to implement in your life to kind of get the ball rolling, as my mother would say. We got to get the ball rolling, right? So that was the whole freestyle subjective speech there. AB literacy on something to compare to channel. I hope you guys appreciate it. All right. Moving on to the next slide, we have here best foot forward. I have 2 short video clips, less than 8 minutes. It will be discussing go the extra mile, and another video, track and training Usain Bolt. The moral of both going the extra mile is to get an understanding, perspective of what the extra mile consists of, or what that looks like, and just hearing and seeing the expression of what it takes for Usain Bolt to become one of the fastest men in the world in track and field, right? So yeah. So I'll leave you guys with this question. All right. The closing question, the closing thoughts. Many U.S. citizens live paycheck to paycheck. How do financial pressures impact your mental health, and what strategies do you use to cope? No gaslighting here, a genuine question to ask yourself. I'll read that again. Closing question. Many U.S. citizens live paycheck to paycheck. How do financial pressures impact your mental health, and what strategies do you use to cope? No gaslighting here, a genuine question to ask yourself. So with that being said, guys, I just want to say thank you for listening. All right, my style today was a little bit different on the free speech, just really taking my time to kind of express to you guys on the important matters, on at least the negative cognitive and, going the extra mile and what it takes to be sober are some of the talking points earlier. I'm your speaker and host, Alexander Blucher. That is my contact number there. My email, info@alexander-blucher.com. You can check out my website, www.alexander-blucher.com. So with that being said, guys, you guys have a great one. Take care.
Hi, I'm Antonio Centeno. I'm the founder of Real Men, Real Style. Today I'm going to be sharing with you about why it's important to go the extra mile. All right, so let's go ahead and why is this coming up? Well, an interesting story the other day. Cleaning the house and getting my son, he's 9 years old, and I'm always trying to get him to, help out around the house. He does a pretty good job. So Alex is helping us vacuum. He's helping do all this stuff, cleaning the house, just making his mom's life a lot easier and my life a lot easier too, which can be tough when you've got two younger sisters who don't always clean up after themselves. But in any case, I walk into the kitchen and there is Alex vacuuming. I didn't ask him to vacuum the kitchen, and we've got hardwood floors, so he's usually in there with the with one of our vacuums in there. And I'm watching him, and I ask, why are you doing this? Because I asked you to do something else, but this is well above and beyond what I asked. And his response and my action, I was really proud of this. He basically said, well, I noticed there was a lot of dirt over here right in the front entrance. I would probably ask him to do it, but he also said he felt, it needed to be done. Immediately, I went over, I pulled $5 out of my wallet, I gave him $5. I wanted to reinforce this moment because he went the extra mile. He took the initiative, he saw a problem, and he fixed it. And for any of you guys that have kids, for any of you guys that have employees, for any of you all that work with people who, whenever the clock hits the quitting time, if they're immediately running out, dropping everything, that can be so frustrating whenever you're trying to build a business, whenever you've got kids who will do only exactly what you say and will kind of throw. It's so frustrating because when this is your home, when this is your business, when this is your dream and you're trying to build up, you want to be around people who go the extra mile, who actually care and put forth the effort. So I wanted to show him, I wanted to immediately reward him for I don't pay my kids for cleaning the house. No, that's part of, we all pitch in, we're a family here. But I did want to send an immediate signal to him that I respect and I appreciate, and that I noticed that he went above and beyond. He did more than he needed to. And for that, I think, and let me take a step back, guys. So when you go the extra mile, you show initiative. You actually show that you can do quality work. You show that you take your responsibility seriously. And you show really to me that you care. Guys, I can't stress this enough. If you want to succeed in life, one thing I have found in common for people I've seen who are at the top of their game is they don't stop at just good enough. They care enough, they take the initiative, they go the extra mile. And let's take a really quick, I'd like for you guys to do a quick search on Google and look at where does going the extra mile come from. It actually comes from a word, impressment. So you can type that in, but it comes back, let's just say it was from Roman times, and it's a very interesting story of where it comes from. But the actual definition of going the extra mile is the act of service that goes beyond what is required. Again, if you want to succeed in life, if you want to be one of those people that right now you're looking up to, or you want to, or inspiring you, realize that these are the kind of people that they went the extra mile. And again, with my son, I think what I'm really proud about is that seeing him do that, I know, and I wanted to reinforce with him that there's going to be a time whenever he's going to have to do the right thing, and no one in the world is going to see this. No one's going to notice except he'll know. And I feel confident that he's on the path to being able to do the right thing when no one else is looking. And that's because he went the extra mile. All right, guys. So hopefully that inspires you to encourage this. I would highly recommend, if you see somebody going the extra mile, you don't have to give them $5, but I would recommend giving them praise. Give them a compliment. Say, hey man, I noticed. And they've actually done studies that whenever we give a compliment, whenever we witness an act of somebody going the extra mile or doing a good deed for others, we actually get it. We feel a bit of elation as well. And so you can be part of that. And I know just thinking about it makes me feel great, knowing that in the future, when I'm not around, he will still be going, be going above and beyond for the people that maybe he's working for, working with, or just the people that he loves in his life, that he'll go the extra mile for them.
Shoulders down. That's it.
Dying. I think a lot of people they see you run and they say, oh, it looks so easy, you really look effortless. But before it gets to that point, it's hard. It's like hard work. It's day in, day out, sacrifice, day in, day out. Just dying. This time when you run and you just want to stop, you just want to give up, like, to hell with this, I just want to go home. This day when you get up and you know what, you have a training today, you know it's going to be intense, and you're like, oh, God, I don't want to go today, but you got to go. And it's so hard, and a lot of people don't know. My coach always says, in a couple of years, we're not going to have any track because we're going to take all of it home.
We are not used to seeing you suffering.
That's why you guys are here. Show the true story, innit?
This here is the reality? Do you mean that the competition is not the reality?
Listen, the work is behind the scenes. Competition is the easy part. Behind the scenes is where the work is done. And everything is done to get to that one race that you need to run.
I think I saw him once training, how I felt it that day. He was vomiting and he looked stressed, and I really felt it and said, son, I didn't know you got to work so hard, because that was some hard training. So I prefer not to be there, because it's not easy to watch him train, because it's really tough.
Usain, you all right?
Yeah, coach. See your conscience speaking. Don't do it. Stop running. Retire. Go play football. Go play golf.